I was sitting with my guides, as I often do when I'm about to give a talk, and I'm asking them, well, what should we talk about today? And I kept hearing the word reincarnation. And I think that that's a subject that we're also very, very interested in today. Would you not agree? Okay, but before we get started, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to look at the people who are sitting around you. I'd like you to turn around. I'd like you to say hello. Say hello to the people who are with you. Get to know each other. Tell each other your names. That's brilliant. Thank you. Now we're all friends. We definitely are. So, in saying reincarnation, I have a real love of the spiritualist philosophy. And a lot of what we hear and read about comes through the Buddhist, the Hindu, that kind of tradition. And I think that that has taught so much to the mainstream population about the laws of karma, reincarnation, the Buddha and enlightenment. And I love the philosophy and have read as much as I possibly can, but would say I am just like a little novice in the grand scheme of that tradition. However, I have been working with the spiritualist philosophy for a very long time. And Spirit brought me to the very foundation of our wonderful philosophy. And so as I went on the net, I came across the 7 principles. And I kept hearing in my ears, you really will hear and you will see that in the principles of the spiritualist philosophy, there is the reference to reincarnation. However, it's not said in that language. So I went on and I looked at the Spiritualist National Union of England and their 7 principles, which are different to what we say in Australia and in the VSU. However, we adapted our new version of the principles from that very language, which is the fatherhood of God, you'll all recognise that, the brotherhood of man, and the communion of spirits and ministering angels, the continuous existence of the human soul, personal responsibility, compensation and retribution hereafter for all good and evil deeds done on earth, and a path of eternal progress open to all souls. Now, they are very familiar because I've said those for many, many years. But it's number 4 that I was most drawn to, the continuous existence of the human soul, right? And when you think about reincarnation, reincarnation is that continuous cycle of life from life into the life after death and back into the earth plane. So it is the continuing existence of the human soul. Now, spiritualism description from the National Union, Spiritualist Union is, spiritualism is a religion, a philosophy and a science based upon the knowledge that our consciousness survives physical death and that we can communicate with the spirit through mediumship. Spiritualism is also about being, and I love this part, compassionate and caring, forgiving to all sentient beings, and that includes yourself. And I thought that was just absolutely wonderful. Because that is what spiritualism is. It's about a path of service. However, when I moved into the VSU website, it says spiritualism is a progressive philosophy and that it has no fixed creed or doctrines. Now, the majority of spiritualists over here will read out the creative divine spirit of the universe, whom we call God, as our 7 principles, the unity of all created beings, the communion of spirits and ministering guides, the continuous existence of life beyond the veil of death, personal responsibility for all our actions whilst on earth, and a path of eternal progress open to all souls. And again, number 4, the continuous existence of life beyond the veil of death. Now, all of these principles, whether they are said with the new wording or whether they are taken back to the old wording of the SNU, is they were originally received through the mediumship of Emma Harding Britton, and she was one of the many pioneers of spiritualism, and they are open to interpretation, and each person is invited to understand them the way they choose to understand them. So there's no hard and fast rule as to how you should perceive these particular principles. So let's just recap. The 7 principles: continuous existence of the human soul from the SNU, and the continuing existence of life beyond the veil of death from the VSU. Now, they are both integral in that concept of reincarnation. And when we look at these 2 principles, they do not stand alone. They are encompassed in all their other principles. We start to look at the soul, the spirit of the person, having a divine intelligence which supersedes the physical body and is a conscious intelligence as we move into the realm of the spirit. Would you not agree? Yes? That is what that is suggesting. And perhaps the one thing that spiritualism is probably needing to take a look at in our future and as we move into this new millennium is that we start to take a look at, it's not just about communicating with those on the spirit realm, but it's the mechanism of what happens when we move into spirit, when we pass from the earth plane. And what is this mechanism that each and every individual will go through, and what can we expect to see when we move in to the death state? Have all of you thought about what happens when I die? It is pretty much the one truth that you will never escape. It's an inevitability. And in our culture, we are scared to discuss it. It's almost like we think if we discuss it, we jinx ourselves and it's coming quicker. But you know what? It's not going to come quicker. It's going to come at the perfect timing that your soul has elected for its exit, right? But there is no escaping it. You agree with me? You don't have to agree with me on anything else, but please agree with me on that one unless you know something I don't. Okay. But it also opens up a whole new layer to us as human beings. Now, have you ever heard of near-death experiences? These are subjects that we are really interested in exploring. And today, in our scientific, computerized model of living, we can explore this because we have the science and the technology to keep people alive, and we can remove their hearts and we can give them a mechanical heart and we can bring their hearts back and we can bring them a whole new heart if we see fit, and we can bring them back into consciousness and they can go about their everyday life with a bit of medication to stop the immune system attacking it. Would you not agree? So what we are discovering is a whole new realm where people come back. See, it used to be a one-way ticket. Right? When you died, you were dead. And they used to make sure you were dead because they used to put a pin through your nose. And if that didn't bring you back into consciousness, the old sailors would say, then you really are dead. Okay? And there were ways that they looked at the body in the past to ensure that they didn't bury you alive. They thought of putting bells in coffins, so if you woke up, you would go ding, 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 dig me up. They did many, many things to ensure that you were dead. But these days we can do it a lot more humanely than sticking pins in your nose and bells in your coffin. We can actually measure the brain and the whole brain function. Now, with a near-death experience, that encapsulates what? The out-of-body experience. Because the people who are coming back and saying, I didn't die, did what? Left their body. Okay? They looked at themselves from perhaps a corner in the top of the room, watching what was going on, right? And then when they came back into their body, they would then align back up and wake up into consciousness. So they had this out-of-body experience. Now, it is described, the clinical evidence for life after death is subjective and arguable, right? So it's not in concrete. It's often hard to assess. The significance of the out-of-body experience is encountered generally with bright lights, long tunnels, or angelic guides. So we meet guides. Have any of you seen Heaven is for Real? It's a movie that's around at the moment. Go and watch it, because it really does. It does really hit on what I'm talking about at the moment, our near-death experiences, coming back into life. Now, as we move into these out-of-body experiences, we learn as mediums how to do this, but we learn to do it in a controlled environment, okay? So that we can meet with the angelic guides, and we don't have to go through the whole epic drama of actually physically dying in order to do that. So as mediums, we choose a way of working with spirit. We enter that discipline, which is taught through the spiritualist philosophy, and then in controlled conditions, we then elect to learn how to leave our conscious body and allow the spirit guides or loved ones to actually enter into our energy field, and as Helen DeVita so wonderfully put it, blend with our own energetic field and share information. Okay? So what is the information that they're sharing? Well, we call it mediumship, we call it trance mediums, we call it spirit guides, and we call it spirit loved ones, proof of survival and evidence that we survive after we pass away. But what happens when it is a one-way ticket? When there is no coming back as a near-death experience? How do we then understand the whole process of birth, life, death, birth into the spirit world, and then the time when we choose to come back to the earth? Because that's reincarnation. That is reincarnation. And what we do in the spiritualist philosophy is we speak to our guides, and they can bring this information so that we can have an understanding while we are still on the earth plane. Now, we do a lot of this through home circles. We do some of it through the public service, what you are seeing today, as evidence of survival, as trance lectures. We say, as the fifth principle through the VSU, communication between incarnate, which is me, and discarnate, which is the spirit realm, the people in the spirit realm. And we have that dialogue, and we learn how to make that connection and bring that information through. Now, you like it because you get to get a moment in time with those who have gone into spirit. So if you've lost your child, you have a burning desire and need to know that your child is okay, and that they have not ceased to exist, and that they are aware of what's going on in your life, and that you can be aware of their presence still loving you. Would you not agree? Now, as a medium, I have done this for years, and what an honour, and I have seen so much. In fact, there have been times when I have stated very clearly, I need a break from this because I feel like I'm spending too much time with the dead and not enough with the living. And so I did step away from private readings because I found that I wanted to spend more time teaching others how to do it rather than doing it for them. Okay? Now, when we communicate with spirit, where are they? So as an out-of-body experience, where do you go? Do any of you have any clues to where you're going to go? See now, isn't that incredible? Because it's fundamentally something that most of us believe, that there is a life after death. Would you not agree? But where are you going when you go? Are you going up, or do you believe you're going down? Oh, you're all going up. Well, you're in good company, because I'm going too. We all agree? Here. Okay, I second and third that. Okay. All right. Have you heard of the astral realms? Well, Spirit have been teaching us through the spiritualist philosophy for years about the astral realms. And it's not just spiritualism, all the great traditions have this belief. And it varies in how they express it. And there are no rights and there are certainly no wrongs. It is purely how you perceive that information and what feels right to you. But you would agree that there is an upper astral and a lower astral. And we've just taken a consensus that we're all going to the upper astral and we're going to leave the lower astral alone, right? But Spirit once said to me, so what is the upper astral? What is the astral? Well, when we move into Spirit, we have an astral body. We have our energetic body. You've heard of the energy centers. That union point from the energetic field that blends in through our body, and it contains all the experiences that we have on the earth. I call them memory reactor chips, because they are the point where something happens and you remember it from the past, and you will go right through, bring it back and say, can't do that, last time it didn't work out. You've all done it, right? That experience is stored in those chakra points, and they all resonate to a particular frequency. First center is very tribal, so all of your first centers are just plugging right in right now, because it's a very physical, tribal experience. Spiritualist philosophy, you're sitting in here, you have to have some form of belief in that philosophy, so it's touching your first center. And so it goes up through the different chakras, right? So they're just spinning wheels, memory reactor chips that collect the data. And on the other side of Spirit, they are the connection point to every experience that you've ever had in every life through your soul grouping. Well, what's a soul group? Because they're in the astral. Okay, now Spirit once said to me that you are 99% spirit at any given time, 1% incarnates. So every life you have ever had, and all that information, experience, and all of the connections you've made to all your family, your friends, to everything, they are all still in that collective soul group, and it's all accessible to you. But you will only access what serves you in this lifetime, because otherwise it would be walking around like as if you had a huge mushroom sitting on your head, and you would have that much knowledge and that much awareness that there really would be no point in incarnating. Because as Charlie walks up to you, you can say, aha, I had a past life with you, 1783, and you chopped my head off. I'm having nothing to do with you. So there is a level that you will only bring in the experience so that you can continue working with it. Now we're talking about the astral realms. We're talking about that content of information and connection to the soul, because this is, and they did describe it to me like a wardrobe. And all of your lives are hanging in this wardrobe. And which one do you want to wear and add to the collection? So you pull this on for this lifetime, it comes off, and then you hang that back up in the wardrobe, and then you move on to the next life. It's an easier way to kind of grasp this whole cycle of reincarnation as it plays out in your life. Have I made myself understood? You don't have to agree with me. I just want you to understand and be with me as I'm speaking. Yes? Yes. I don't know if you agree with this, but if it makes sense to you, it might be something you want to ponder or find out more about. So what is the point of having all of these life experiences? What is the point of going through all of these incarnations? Because that 1% is the characteristics and the personal information that you have about your physical being, your sentient being as you walk through this life. All the rest is in the spirit realm. And the universe is very impersonal while being exceptionally personal for you. Okay? Okay, so it's very impersonal in the over dynamics of that astral field, and yet it will be very personal to you in an intimate level. So what is it that you're actually exploring when you move out into the astral realms? Because everybody says they experience something different. It's individual to you. So you have moved into the spirit realm, okay? You have an astral body, which is comprised of these energy fields that are still very humanistic because you have been in a human time-space reality. And so your energy is still wired into this experience. And so you have this astral double. And this is an astral double that is made up of all of your energetics, and your spirit is involved in all of this. And then you want to see your family. You want to go to your own funeral. Do you know how nosy you are? Who turned up at my funeral? I wonder. Let's go have a look. Are they saying nice things about me? I'm going to stand right behind them. And if they're not, I'm going to tap them on the shoulder and say, you didn't say. This is what goes on. And spirit do show up at funerals, because I've had readings where the person is not even in the ground or have not even been cremated, and they have done the entire reading for their loved one, right? They have been in spirit, in that astral, physical layer, and they have come in and they have told me everything I needed to tell them, and then gone on to describe that what's happening with the funeral arrangements and everything else that's going on. And at the end of the reading, the person said, sheesh, they're not even buried yet. What's going to happen when they do? They'll move on. They've said everything they need to say, okay? So you move in to this astral realm, and you really would want to explore it, because they said to me, Spirit said to me, because I do trance mediumship, and they've said to me, within the 7 layers of the astral realms, you have 7 layers within the 7. And then you have 7 layers within that 7. And it's infinite, it's quantum. It goes on, it is infinite. Right? To that point when it reaches that Godhead. And you mature through each of these layers, and there's this whole thing going on through that. But you will vibrationally go to where you are a match on that astral plane. So you might not go to that low. You will go into that physical astral plane when you first pass, because you have been tuned and tapped into the earth. But as you discard this shell, and as you see yourself as spirit intelligence and light, then you will start to automatically vibrate to that frequency within your own soul group, where you're going to blend in, and then all of your life experience on the earth is going to become part and fused with all of the experiences of all of the lives that you've had. And so it's a divine intelligence. Now, if that information comes back to that soul group, it is available to everything and to every soul on earth. Right? Once it is conceived, it is now available to all of humanity, to all of those universal forces. Nothing can be lost and nothing can be got rid of. Everything, every experience, everything must stay as is, and that force in the universe. So I need to probably get ready to wind this up, because I could spend an infinite layer of time going into each of these layers, but I can't. I can just touch base and skip over the points. But reincarnation is more about when you go into the spirit realm and to have an interview with yourself. And while on earth we are very self-serving. It has been known as being selfish, the ego. And then there is service, which is the spirit. And as you give yourself an interview, you will recall, tune in, tap in to the frequency of everything that you have experienced on earth, from pre-birth, through birth, through growth, through illness, through marriage, through children, through all of the people in your life. And then the pivotal thing that they said to me was, now you are not going to look at it through the lens of it happening to you, which is what you do on earth. You will then take it and say, what impact did I have on the other people in my life? Massive, massive distinguishing factor from heaven to earth. And you will be mortified at some of what you have got up to. You do not want to share across a breakfast table with anybody. And you thought it was just personal for you? Well, it is. But it will. My teacher once said to me, he said, that roll of toilet paper I pinched that I didn't need at the public toilet, he goes, I know I'm going to see that. And you said you were honest. And you said you wouldn't steal. And you stole that roll of toilet paper. He said, this is how he said it to us. So just imagine all those rolls of toilet paper that you weren't going to own up to. They're all going to be there for you to examine when you get over the other side. And I thought, that is just not an image I want to hold. But anyway, so that is the fundamental essence of what I want to share with you today. Everything counts to you, and especially when you move into spirit. So from that knowledge, from that base, okay, you're then going to look at how much better you can do it. Right? Now, I can be more loving. Oh dear, I got that person sacked. Ow. Oh, look at what I did to that other person. Okay, that was a bit of an epic drama. That was a real descending spiral. I can do this better. And now you get serious, because now you talk to the soul group. Now you're going to say to the soul group, hey, I really do need some help on earth. So I need to have a family, I need to have a life, I need to have an identity, I need to have a personality, I need to have a physical experience, and I need all of this to line up for me to move into the earth vibration. And then I need people to take on these roles. And I need them to play them out for me. And I need to pay attention to one thing, and one thing only: how I react and my intention when I meet these people in my path. Personal responsibility, that is huge in the spiritualist philosophy, because Spirit keep telling us, you are responsible. There are things that are out of your hands, But there is one thing that you can always be responsible for, and that is how you react and respond in the moment. And the Kabbalah teach it, and you are managing grace, and they say that you can literally take a whole chaotic vibration, and you watch how you hold yourself in that drama, and you are accountable only for that, and that hits you in the second energy center. That is control 101, because you will spend your life doing that. Now I have to stop now because we are running out of time. And I hope that you can take something out of this address today. But I have a real passion for the spiritualist philosophy. And I believe that the spiritualist philosophy can teach you so much, but you have to delve in to what that journey is for you. And I hope I have just ignited a little spark of, of that wanting to learn more and to seek deeper knowledge, because there's so much more than just what's in the words if you choose to go and find it. And I'll leave you with that, with a lot of prayers, and God bless. Thank you.